It's in! Ends the game in overtime and sends the Ottawa Senators to the Stanley Cup Final for the first time in franchise history.
Welcome to SENS Talk. My name is Brandon and I'm your host. Before we get started, please follow us on Twitter at SensTalk_ for live tweet updates of the games and of course breaking news. And please check out our website, senstalkcentral.com. Now in this video is the Round 3 Eastern Conference Finals preview. The Ottawa Senators are playing against the Pittsburgh Penguins, starting off in Pittsburgh on Saturday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So let's talk about this series. First, we're going to talk about how the Penguins can win, how the Senators can win, who I think will win, and what it takes for the Senators to go to the finals, and what needs to happen for that to happen. So let's start with the reasons the Pittsburgh Penguins can win this series. It's very, very evident that they have one of the best players in the world in Sidney Crosby. They have another great player in Evgeny Malkin. He was named to the top 100 all-time team. They have Phil Kessel. Chris Letang is on their team, but he's injured, which is a big loss for them. We'll get to that in a second, why the Senators can win. Marc-Andre Fleury has absolutely regained his momentum to be a number one starter in the NHL. He was spectacular against Washington and especially against the Columbus Blue Jackets as well. Their backup for now, Matt Murray, is a very solid starter as well. Their full team is full of great offense. They got Nick Bonino, Patrick Hornqvist, some good depth guys in Jake Gunsel and Brian Rust. So it's not going to be an easy series, clearly, for Ottawa. But the problem is for Pittsburgh is Daly, Letang, and they have multiple other big injuries to this team. In fact, I don't even think Sidney Crosby's okay. He got hit badly again in Game 7 against the Washington Capitals. He was slow to get up. I have a feeling he's still injured, and he may even have a concussion. And unfortunately, I don't want him to play, even if the Sens weren't playing for him for that case. I'm sure. If it wasn't the playoffs, I wouldn't be thinking this. But since it's the playoffs, and if you're 50% okay, you're automatically in the game. I don't know if Sidney Crosby's okay, and that could be a deal breaker for the Penguins. If Sidney Crosby gets injured, it's like it would be like Erik Karlsson got injured. Listen, I understand they still have Evgeny Malkin, they have Phil Kessel, they have Nick Bonino, Patrick Hornqvist, all these good players, but it's still like Erik Karlsson. He's your best player, and if you lose your best player, you're bound to lose a couple of games, if not the series. So the Pittsburgh Penguins, the way they're going to win the series is great goaltending, rely on their offense and their depth, and Crosby not getting injured. And that's a lot to hope for, because Anderson and the Senators play a very, very big trap game, and the Senators were 2-1-0 against the Penguins this year, and the Penguins were 1-0-2, 1-1-2-1. But the Senators play a trap game. They don't give a lot of teams a lot of offensive opportunities. And when they do, usually Anderson's there to stop it or Karlsson's there to make the play. The Penguins really want to win this. They're going to have to find ways to get through the Senators' trap. And I don't know if that could happen. Listen, if you have Crosby, you have Malkin, it could happen. But with the way the Senators are playing right now and their very, very solid defense-minded play with some offense, I don't see how the Penguins can get through this trap. If the Rangers can't get through it with speedy guys like Grabner, Zuccarello, Zibanejad, Kreider, they very rarely got through the trap. And when they did, they had their big chances. When you get through the trap, the Ottawa Senators trap zone, in the neutral zone, you do tend to get big scoring opportunities, but that's very rare. And you've seen with the style with Guy Boucher's coaching and the experience he has, and the experience this team has, I don't see them breaking out all of a sudden and allowing plenty of opportunities like 2013 in the second round to the Pittsburgh Penguins. I find it's going to be a very difficult time for the Penguins to get that offense. A lot of their points are a little high up there considering that series against the Columbus Blue Jackets where Sergei Bobrovsky couldn't stop a puck for his life. So against the Washington Capitals, it was a much more defensive-minded series, in my opinion. And with Ottawa Senators, and you have a solid defensive core and an offensive core that's defensive-minded first with a trap-style game, I don't know if the Penguins could break through that. And a lot of people are seeing through that. People are saying, they're looking at the names, that are not looking at the reality of the Senators' trap that really could kill the Penguins. The Senators' power penalty kill is one of the best in the playoffs so far, 87%, I believe. if the Penguins are going to want to win this, considering I don't think, in my opinion, with all the injuries they have, I don't think they can get through that trap. They're going to have to be able to score on that power play. And with the Sanders penalty kill right now, I don't know if that could happen. But if they could score on that power play, that could be the deal breaker as well. On the defensive side, their best defenseman right now is Oli Mata. So he's a top 4 guy. He's not a top 2 guy. So the Sanders, you have guys like Carlson, you got Hoffman. They got to really peck at that zone. And you got to pray that Fleury will have another dominant performance against Ottawa. Besides that, the Sanders, what they need to do is, also for Pittsburgh, they need to shut down Erik Karlsson. If they don't shut down Erik Karlsson and they can't get through that trap, it's game over for them. So if they shut down Erik Karlsson, we're in for a much interesting series. But if they can't control Karlsson like a lot of teams can't, and I don't expect they can control him and contain him, this could be much quicker or longer than people expect, depending on your opinion. But this series is not going to be a sweep for either team, in my opinion. Let's talk about the way the Sanders can win now. The way the Sanders are going to or could win the series is starting with Craig Anderson. That appearance in game number 6 against the Rangers was spectacular. 37 saves on 39 shots for Anderson. You got to keep that up. You can't go to the finals and you can't win that Stanley Cup without a hot goalie. Listen, you could win the first or second round with a decent 900 par goalie if you have a great defensive-minded team like Ottawa. But if Anderson really steps up to the plate and plays like Craig Anderson, the Sanders could be in for a little treat, extending their season. But that's a lot of ifs. And if Anderson can play like himself and not worry and just play his game, which I hope he will, and I think he can, especially since that Game 6, his appearance in Game number 6, I think the Sanders would be very happy and have a better chance to win the series if Anderson plays like himself. Now with the defense of course has been spectacular this playoffs. Minus Cody Ceci, who can't clear the puck for some reason. He doesn't know how to clear the puck. You got Erik Karlsson, who's already in consideration, the front runner for the Conn Smythe Trophy for MVP of the playoffs. You got Erik Karlsson. You got Diofanov, who's really solidified that defensive core. You have Mark Mathot, who really, in the background, really helping out that team. The Sanders are really playing a strong defensive game for the most part, and sometimes there's some unlucky bounces, but hopefully what I'm saying, they need to have strong goaltending to win the series, because Fleury he has the ability to steal the series, not just the game, the series, Marc-Andre Fleury. Anderson does have that ability too. So if Anderson can play to his part, he can play, which I think can happen if he just really focuses on his game and nothing else. I think we can expect a good series out of him. The defensive quarter, like I just said, just keep on doing what you're doing. I would like, obviously, if they could generate more opportunities on that power play, on the point, that'd be very much appreciated. We'll get to that in a second. But the offensive core, you got to get, Bobby Ryan's got multiple points in that second round against the New York Rangers. I don't mind him. Brassard played a strong series. Pajot, we don't have to mention it. That's had a 4-goal game. There's no mention of why he was not good. He was spectacular. But there's some guys in the backlight that I really want to see step up, and that's one of them is Zach Smith. Zach Smith, he's been demoted to the 3rd or 4th line. If he can start getting it going, and everyone else continues the pace they're going at, that could match up to the Pittsburgh Penguins scoring immediately. You got players like Ryan, Turris, Hoffman, Carlson, Brassard. These players are really, they have the ability to be as good as the Pittsburgh Penguin players. Of course, I'm not saying they're as good, but they have the ability to keep up the same amount of points with their defensive structure and win games. If Zach Smith can really start chipping in a lot of points, or start playing Zach Smith hockey and get a few more goals, bank some in, play on the front of the net, that'd be very helpful, obviously. But if you get that goal scoring from Zach Smith, who hasn't really done anything, in my opinion, in this playoffs, that'd be very, very good. He had a big point, I guess, in game number 5 with that Pyatt goal, but besides that, he hasn't scored, I don't believe, and it's time for him. I think he could have a breakout series in this 3rd round against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, my prediction for the series is Marc-Andre Fleury was spectacular in the first 4 games against the Capitals. Absolutely spectacular. But game number 5 and game number 6, he was brutal, absolutely brutal. And game number 7, he got a shutout. He did get a shutout, stopping all 29 shots he faced. But the Capitals hit the post multiple times, and they're jinxed. So, in my opinion, when you have a team like the Pittsburgh Penguins, it's hard to analyze. But when you have Crosby, who I do believe is injured, you have Evgeny Malkin, you have Hornqvist, you have Phil Kessel, these players and multiple others, and Rust, Gensel, those are two spectacular rookie depth guys. When you got these guys, it's tough to say if they could keep it up. I think they can keep it up, but I don't think the Pittsburgh Penguins could get through the Senators' neutral zone trap. I really don't think they can. If you watch the games they played against the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Ottawa Senators in the regular season, I understand it's the playoffs, so don't get upset about me in the comments with that. They couldn't get through. They really couldn't get through. One of the Senators' wins was a 4-1 win. The other was in a shootout. Very close game. And the one loss we had was when we don't have to talk about 8-5 loss, but that was something else because that was when Anderson was dealing with a lot, and no one's minds were really with hockey. But right there, proof and point. The Senators can score lots of goals on the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, if you take away that game one, the Pittsburgh Penguins scored 3 goals in 2 games, which is brutal, and the Senators scored 6 goals. 6 goals is 3 goals per game, and the Penguins, with that math, is 1.5, so let's say 1 goal per game. That's a 3-1 game every game, or 3-2 if you round it up to the other side. If Anderson plays his game, and the Senators have that trap, I don't see how the Pittsburgh Penguins could even get more than 2 goals. Anderson plays his game, the trap works, the SENS system works. I don't see how the Penguins can really get into this trap. It's going to become frustrating for them, for guys like Kessel, for guys like Crosby and Malkin. They're going to get frustrated. I can tell you that right now. The Pittsburgh Penguins are going to get frustrated against these Ottawa Senators, and a lot of analysts are not seeing that, except for Vic from ESPN, the one only analyst predicting the Senators in 3 rounds in a row to win the series. They're not seeing what's happening here, and what's happening is minus a few lucky breaks. The teams the Senators are playing against are not getting those opportunities, and it's frustrating them. And if Anderson plays a strong game, like he did in game number 6 against the Rangers, this team could be deadly and could even win a cup. So, with that being said, and the Senators, if they continue playing their game, which I don't see why they can't, and if the Pittsburgh Penguins continue playing their game, which I don't see why they can't, minus the trap. And with that trap, they're going to get frustrated. I'm telling you that trap's going to work. I predict the Ottawa Senators will defeat the Pittsburgh Penguins in 6 games. Now, you're probably saying, you're crazy, you're a Sens fan, you're biased. With the things I just explained, that trap is going to frustrate the hell out of the Pittsburgh Penguins. I see the first 2 games being a 1-1 tie, but when the Senators get back home, that home crowd, which is already sold out, by the way, it's going to be raucous, and you know how the Senators play at home. There's also a game 3 in Pittsburgh, a game in Pittsburgh at 3 p.m. So, 3 p.m. times, we've won all 4. That could be an advantage for us. And not only that, when it comes to the Pittsburgh Penguins playing a tough trap type of team, you look at the Pittsburgh Penguins versus the New Jersey Devils, you watch those highlights, they get very frustrated. You watch the Senators versus the Pittsburgh Penguins highlights, multiple times you can just see the camera going to their faces and they're just frustrated, they can't get anything going. And when you're 4 wins away from a Stanley Cup final appearance for back-to-back years, which are the Pittsburgh Penguins, which could happen, if they don't win game 1, I don't see how this Pittsburgh Penguins team can rebound from that. Like, look at it. The Pittsburgh Penguins have their first game at home Saturday in Pittsburgh. They win the game, then the Senators have to win game 2, obviously. But if they lose that game, Senators all of a sudden have the advantage in the series. They won the first game. If they win the second game, they have home ice advantage. They lose it, 1-1 tie, still have home ice advantage for the next 2. That first game means everything. We'll find out very quickly if that trap's going to frustrate the Pittsburgh Penguins, and I honestly do think it will. I don't see how this Pittsburgh Penguins team, no matter how skilled they are, can get through this team. You got a skilled team in the Rangers who couldn't get past the defense. Even when Anderson wasn't playing strong, you could see the Senators weren't giving up much, and when they gave up the chances that Anderson should have stopped, sometimes he didn't stop them. So let me say this. If Anderson plays like Craig Anderson, the Pittsburgh Penguins are going to lose in 6 games. If Anderson plays like he did in game 2 to 4 in the New York Rangers series, we could be seeing their series go to game 6 or 7 in favor of the Penguins or the Senators. But I really do believe the Senators are going to put all their heart out into this. I predict your Ottawa Senators are heading to the Stanley Cup Finals to play either the Nashville Predators or the Anaheim Ducks. As the Senators, I do believe, will win in 6 games. Let me know in the comments what you think will happen. I think in 6, Maybe I'm wrong. I've been right. The first series, I was right Senators in 6. Second, I was a game off. I said Senators in 7. I'm doubling down on this one. I bet everything. The Senators will win this series in 6. Let's see what happens. Thank you all for watching. Please follow us on Twitter at SensTalk_ for live stream updates of the games and, of course, breaking news. Please like us on Facebook at SensTalk, add search circles on Google Plus SensTalk, click the big red button down there and subscribe to us. Like the video, share the video wherever you share cool stuff. If you're a Pittsburgh Penguins fan, welcome to the channel. Stay here. We don't have biased. We're not biased in my opinion. We're obviously leaning towards the Senators, but we like to give a fair analysis for both teams. So if you're a Penguins fan, welcome and wish the best luck to you guys. So please check our website, senstalkcentral.com. Please check out our Instagram sponsor, sens.central. Please click right here to subscribe to us. Right here for our playlist of the playoff videos, and right here for the latest upload. Thank you all for watching. Senators in 6 is my prediction. You all win. The Senators are in Eastern Conference Finals and are 4 away from the Stanley Cup Finals. I'll see you in Game 1 Saturday. Go Sens, go.